So about a year ago, I made a video called How to Heal, and in that video, I was giving tips on how to navigate a healing slash self-love journey. And I was in that journey with you. I was in that journey with all the people that were in my life, including you who watch. And what I learned over the last year, which has completely changed me and has shown me that I actually am already the woman of my dreams, is that at some point you have to stop identifying as somebody who needs to be fixed. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that. But what I mean is that at some point you're going to have to put the self-help books down. You're going to have to turn off the podcast. You're going to have to, leave the YouTube video, not this one, watch until the end, but at some point you're going to have to click off the YouTube video. You're going to have to get off the motivational, Instagram and TikToks and whatever. At some point you're going to have to take everything you've learned and actually put that into practice. At some point, as I said, you're going to have to stop identifying as somebody who needs to be fixed, but rather as a healing and not even incomplete, you're whole, just as a person who is on a journey, just as any other person is. And as I said in that video, it's about learning and mastership. Lauryn Hill was saying life is about learning and mastership. And in that same vein, life is about 1,000 births, 1,000 deaths, 1,000 rebirths, 1,000 deaths. And at some point, you do need to realize that staying in your room all day consuming motivational self-help content isn't the answer. The answer is consuming that content and actually putting it into action. And I want to discuss that. I want to chat more about it. And I want to tell you how. And I want to give you more practical examples on how I've done that in my life over the last year. Greetings! Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, greetings, hi. If not, thanks so much for coming back. My name is Noni, and on this channel we discuss all things just like self-help, general good vibes. It's a chatty place. It's a nice, friendly, chatty, comfortable place. You know what? I just feel like I knitted this and I need to just show that off. Look what I made. It is so stunning. This is my absolute favorite color at the moment, British racing green. My partner put me on and I was like, yes babes, yes, you get me, you see the vision, and he sees the vision. Okay, subscribe down below. Now I have my little wine, so I'm just gonna have a sip. Excellent, immaculate. So I don't know if you guys agree, but for me personally on my healing journey, I found that I was constantly thinking that, okay, I have to wait until a certain point, a certain level of healed before I could step out and become the person I'm supposed to be, or to implement everything that I've learned. I thought, okay, by the time I'm healed, I will look like this, I will have this job, I will have this kind of relationship, I'll have these kinds of friends, without actually going out and implementing the tips and tricks and things that I learned that bring those things into your life. At some point, you have to look yourself in the mirror and decide, well, the podcast said this, I'm not going to now go listen to another podcast on how to get A, B, and C. I need to go implement what I already know. And so for me, it was such a fine little balancing act where I realized that I was actually stopping myself from living because I thought I had to reach a certain level of healed. I really thought I had to look a certain way, be at a certain fitness level, beauty level, just a certain level of put togetherness before I could step out and actually be seen and actually use my voice and actually be present with my life. I thought for a while that, you hide and you go into hermit mode and you go learn all these things, and then at some point you feel all healed and zen and ready, and you go and step out into the world. Actually, what I learned is that at some point, you're never going to be prepared for the worst things that are going to happen to you. You're never going to be prepared for the things that, throw you for a loop or change your life forever. You can be prepared on how you react. You can be self-aware. You can know all the things about yourself that will help you to get through those things. At the end of the day, life is your greatest teacher. And in order to know how to implement all that self-awareness, how to react properly in situations, how to be the person you planned or dream on being, you're going to have to go out and put yourself in those situations. You're going to have to go out and practice, essentially. Life is the practice of itself, So I think tip number 1, or something to remember on your healing and self-love journey, is that life is your greatest teacher, and that you cannot hide your way into becoming the person you're supposed to. For me, I realized that I definitely let fear control most of my life, and theoretically I knew that is no longer the case. So I had learned all the things to no longer be scared. I have written down all the things that scare me. I have gone and evaluated where those fears come from, but I have not physically gone and become the person who does things despite her fear. What I learned was that I am maybe the type of person who's always going to be scared of doing certain things, and that is... my hair is irritating me. Okay. Maybe I'm the type of person who is always going to be scared of doing certain things. Maybe I'll always have anxiety. Maybe I'll always just be a little bit depressed. Maybe I'll always just be a little bit sensitive. And so I'm going to have to go out and step out into the world as I am. I think the notion that we are inherently broken and thus do not deserve to be seen in our brokenness is false. Maybe we are inherently broken. From what I have observed of the human race, I think that is very true. However, that does not mean you don't deserve to step out in your inherent brokenness, because we all have intrinsic self-worth, no matter how bad we are. So tip number 1 is that, or to remember that life is your greatest teacher. You have inherent self-worth, and you are worthy of being seen as you are, wherever you are in your journey, and that you don't need to use any of that inherent brokenness as a reason to stay hidden or unseen. You need to use that to fuel you to get out and step out and become the person that you would like to be. You need to go out and practice. Yeah. Wow. That was good. I believe that you can really, really end up limiting yourself if you don't actively and intentionally go out and start living your life. If you don't actively and intentionally decide to step out with the lessons you've learned and choose and try to implement those. I really thought I had to. And this is a level of perfectionism. I don't know why we have this idea that things have to be perfect before we can live, because there's absolutely nothing in life that is perfect. But you think that you have to present a certain way to get certain opportunities, and then you think you have to just become a version of yourself that you're not at this moment in order to get to the version that you want to be. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Embodying and practicing who you are now as you change and develop and allow space for yourself to evolve is where we become the most healed, beautiful versions of ourselves, and everything that we've been wanting to manifest will come as a result thereof. I know I'm using big buzzwords like manifest and becoming the better version of you, so they work in this video, so I just feel like I'm going to continue with that. Yeah, and I have an exciting announcement at the end of this video, so you better stay until the end, because it's exciting. Anyway, What was I saying? My practice of becoming more emotionally independent, somebody who is stepping out into her life instead of letting life happen to her, was that I had to figure out what brings me joy. And what brings me joy is actually human connection, and we all need it, just to varying degrees. But I'm such a homebody. I like to stay home. I like to stay in my bed. I like to knit. I get anxious when I'm out for too long or with too many people around me. I'm an extrovert, but like it's very short lived. So I'll be out and then an hour later I just get really overstimulated and I just can't anymore. But I've learned coping skills for that. I've learned that for me, I always feel refreshed when I'm around the right people, when I am doing the activities that bring me joy with those people, when I'm talking and feeling good and looking good. But I have to go out and practice then talking and looking good and feeling good and showing up with people that I love and respect and can let them show up and look good and feel good and talk. And so I asked my best friend if she wanted to go on a girls trip with me. This would force me to be outside of my usual comfort zone, but still with someone I love. And we had an excellent time. It doesn't mean that it was perfect. I mean, her car got scratched and, so there was a little bit of conflict, a few things to deal with. And I was sometimes a little bit overstimulated, but I was with someone I loved. I was feeling like, I trusted myself to do what I needed to do, but I also trusted myself to be the best, to be honest with myself. I trusted myself to show up as I was in every moment, and it was important again. And on a girls trip, it's so nice because girlies, we just get each other, but it was just like getting dressed together, doing makeup together, smoking hubbly or hookah, I don't know what everyone calls it everywhere else, together, and just looking good, having fulfilling conversations, silly conversations, having drinks, going out, doing things at our own pace. And I feel like that trip taught me that I am 100% my own person. I have people around me that I love, and that the human connection is so deep and true and beautiful, and that no matter what happens, whatever kind of conflicts we go through, I don't have to betray myself to be loved by anyone. It is a practice in not betraying myself. It's a practice in saying, hey, I need to take things a bit slower, or can we go faster, or can we do this and that, in checking in with how I feel and my self-awareness. If I'm at home and nothing's ever happening, how will I know how to deal with those situations? How will I be fully immersed in joy and smiling and just being present? So, tip number 2 is like, part of your emotional independence means going out and living life. It means going out and putting yourself in the situations that are a little bit uncomfortable initially, because nothing about that trip in retrospect was anything out of the ordinary. It wasn't difficult, maybe a little expensive, but I've never really spent money on myself or big money that I've earned on anything that I own. I've always thought, okay, everything for a rainy day, and that is true. If you're a reckless spender, don't just go spend because I was like, go live your life. Don't do that. But my point is just that I needed that, and it taught me that I needed to live, and now I am just living, Part of becoming a healed person is really diving into your relationships, platonic relationships. I don't even want to put emphasis on romantic relationships, but platonic relationships, stating your needs and your wants and stating those with your chest up. I think for me, I used to be very apologetic, and still am sometimes, about what I need and what I want and when I need it, how I need it. And I have learned that if I keep hiding those parts of myself, I'm going to continue to self-betray. And so part of that tip, which is connecting with others, is to not self-betray. Self-betrayal and a lack of self-love, or even self-hate or self-rejection, those two things go hand in hand, When you say to yourself, I can only show up in this situation with these people, or at a time when I'm just better. What you say is you point to the darker parts of yourself and you say, you're not worthy to be seen. You are not worthy to be loved. You are not worth. I'm not saying now go out and showcase all the worst parts of yourself and like go out and just be reckless and difficult to be around and be like, well, that's just how I am. I'm saying that when you've done your shadow work and your journaling and your podcasts and your YouTube videos, and those parts are not just going to be gone. They're still going to be there. You're just going to have to live with them and deal with them in constructive ways. And that doesn't happen by sitting in your room consuming more information on how to get rid of them. It happens by being in actual relationship, in conflict, in healthy conflict, in situations that you wouldn't otherwise be in. It's about saying, okay, I see that part of you that's an anxious mess. Love her, gonna go on with my life despite how she's feeling, but still give her space and compassion to show up and be. You know, the part of you that's just messy and disorganized, and the part of you that just cries a lot, go out, enjoy that part, be with that part. If the tears come, they come, you know. And you know, when you get there, you realize the bad parts of yourself aren't you. You're you. The bad or good situation is limiting beliefs and stories we've made up in our head about who we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be, and then we enact those around other people. Then other people start to think, oh, I'm supposed to be like this and this. But when you go out and you start being just yourself with self-compassion and grace, but with self-awareness and bringing in all the things you've learned, you've become the embodiment of the healed version of yourself. And then my last tip or point or whatever is embodiment. What does it mean to embody something? To embody something doesn't only mean to become it and to have it live inside of you. It also means that you exude that vibe, okay? That's the definition. I've decided that that's the definition. You exude the vibe of somebody who has done the work. And that comes again with self-awareness, with being grounded in your body, being grounded in who you are, not living in a state of fight or flight. When you get out of survival mode and you have your coping skills and you have your coping skills, you've been to your therapy, you've spoken to the people you know you need to speak to heal and to become better. When you have that, you take that toolkit and you take it with you into your life. And it doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen and that this new healed version of you isn't going to fall back into old patterns. It just means that you are not the same person as you were a year ago. You've learned a lot of things. You put a lot of effort into learning those things. And I'm assuming that about the people that are watching this video now, because I see your comments and I see the energy and what you exude. I know you guys have been putting the work, or at the very least, wanting to put in the work. And what I'm telling you is that the inner work and the hermit mode work and all the work you put in when you're alone in your bed, just struggling, you know, with all these things going on, your traumas, and you're in pain, all the things you learn in there is only 1 or 2 steps out of the whole picture, or 1 or 2 little bits of an entire picture. The rest of the picture is you taking your toolbox and going to discover what this image is made of and how you fit into it, and if you feel like repainting the picture or not. You know what I'm saying? You don't create your own story. I don't believe that's true, but I do believe you create something from what is given to you. And that's that, folks. Go out and live. Subscribe to my channel. If you made it to the end of the video, I'm getting married. I'll show you now. I'll do a little close up. Anyway, totally getting married. Oh my word. Let me tell you something, guys. I am living proof that you do not need to know how to cook or clean anything to become a wife. You just need to bring the vibes. You see, I brought the vibes and the man said these vibes work for me. So he put a ring on it. Anyway, comment your 3 favorite emojis if you made it to the end of the video. At the moment, I'm back on the rainbow. I love that rainbow. And I've been doing little rainy clouds because it's been raining a lot lately. So a rainy sort of stormy cloud situation and a rainbow because I saw a rainbow and I really like rainbows. And I'm totally getting married and I went on a girls trip. It was fabulous. It was great. Okay. Subscribe. Greetings. Hi. Noni.